Good evening, race fans, and welcome to One Hub Racing Precision Tier for round number 3 here at ERT Belgium, brought to you by Next Level Racing, Pure Sim Gear, and partnered with Vespertine, ERT, and Sim Grid. I'm your commentator, Peter Nyden, and joined with me back again in the commentary box after his week off, it's indecisive Mackie.
Yes, it's good to be back after a week off. I hear I missed a lot, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in qualifying, perhaps. But yeah, it's good to be back, and hope you didn't miss me too much.
I had Storm filling your seat in, which was a new commentary scenario for me. Never commentated with him, but he kept your seat nice and dry at Mexico last week, where we saw a tantalising battle throughout between three drivers, and it eventually went to Casper to take victory at Mexico last week. But the most consistent team so far this season has to be the Aston Martins. They are in great form, currently leading the drivers and constructors with 4 podiums between them over the course of 2 races. So no race victory yet for either of them, but a solid performance so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not the only tier where there's a team like that, but the Precision tier, it's definitely going to be hard to beat both of the Astons, but you need to beat one to beat the other, and yeah, neither of them have won a race yet, but will that change tonight? We'll have to wait and see.
We will indeed. Roles reversed as well. Scorpion got second and then third in Japan and Mexico, and Chris was at third and second, so they're tied on points for 31 points, with Casper's win last week leaving him 2 points off the top. So anyone's to play for at the moment, but the constructors is quite destructive with the way Aston Martin have started. 32 points I believe clear of Ferrari, who took a race win in Japan, but neither of them showed up for Mexico. That leaves a bit of a sour taste in their mouths for not showing up, because the gap now is 32 points, 62 for Aston Martin and 30 for Ferrari. 1 point separated ahead of them. Behind them is Alfa Romeo with Casper's 29 points so far this season. I believe Tech Gaming is not racing here anymore either, so it's a solo Alfa Romeo at the moment. He's going to try and capitalise on the Mercedes' poor form so far this season.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you lose drivers out of a league, especially when you need a teammate. But yeah, definitely capitalise on Mercedes, who are out of form themselves. So much like real life, can they bounce back? We'll find out here tonight, I suppose. It's as good a place as any.
It is, and to mention, both Mercedes drivers are both Belgium as well. Both are going to look to try and take hold of the victory, or even a 1-2 even, just to secure a home Grand Prix lockout. Be ones to watch, but they've got a tough amount of opponents to beat, including Waitsy, who's now joined us in the McLaren, and White Fountain as well is back in the AlphaTauri. Drivers who are competitive and experienced enough to try and snatch away those vital points here at the start of the season.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's all about at the start of a season, snatching as many points as you can, because you never know what's going to happen later on. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for the Mercedes as well, given that I've just remembered that Arnold has a quali ban for whatever he did last week, which I wasn't aware of, but just wonder if that's going to be a bit of an advantage from him, just being able to chill and focus on the race.
I don't think it'll be too much of a difficulty for Arnold. He has, around this track as well, come from last place, 20th position, and won a Grand Prix using a 2-stop strategy as well, which we do here in One Hub. So anything is possible. Safety cars, weather. There's a 50% chance of rain in the race, with a 20% chance in qualifying. So the weather could play a part. However, it's up to the drivers to stay focused and keep it on the track, because that's where the points are picked up at the end of the race.
Absolutely, you can't get any points in qualifying, although, you know, some will be tempted that they think they can, but you certainly can't win a race into turn 1, but you can only lose it and I feel like that's going to be a massive test for these drivers, especially the nature of this turn 1 followed by 2, 3, which are very, very tricky to go side by side through. So we'll see what kind of form they get into, and see if we can have a switch around in the hot and cold drivers as well. But more on them as the sessions get underway, which we look like we're going to very shortly. Hopefully, I think everyone's supposed to be here, so we can go racing very soon.
Yeah, 16 drivers expected. I think we had 14 last week, so not a full grid just yet, with drivers dropping out mid-season. Doesn't help us as commentators when we've taken all our notes down of the drivers expected to race, and now we've got to scrap them away. Also, just a reminder as well, J. Luke joins us from Pinnacle. He joined us last week. He went here, so just a reminder, he is in the Alpine, and we'll be looking to score some points for them.
Oh, great. J. Luke and Lukey back together again. That's going to be a commentator's nightmare.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
And ERT Jordan, who was in the Haas, is now in podium tier racing, and there's an available seat at Haas as well, which was taken over by Red Matt last week in Mexico. So a new driver as well joining us from round 2. So 2 new drivers in this tier. A few, at least one dropped a tier. I don't think anyone's been promoted as far as I'm aware. But trying to keep the pace, the field even, which is very good because it creates close racing. People can stay together. There's not that one guy dropped off at the back while everyone else is battling about. But then again, if you keep your nose clean, the rewards will start to show.
They certainly will, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Media Day rivals get on as well. Again, we'll talk about everything that happened last week, very certain when the session gets underway, but I'm looking forward to this one. Belgium always tends to provide amazing races, and let's hope this is another one.
Yeah, it's the longest lap time in the F1 calendar. Nice and dry for this qualifying session. I understand that you had a wet weather infiltrated qualifying session, and so did podium tier as well. So nice to see it being dry for the drivers here in Belgium.
Yeah, certainly was Inter's qualifying session, and then it was pretty much a dry race, but then it went Inter's right at the end, but it was threatening to do so. As we loaded in, we knew it would be a wet end. It just whether the rain held off or not, but it was Inter's by the end of the race as well, down in Prospect. So we'll see what kind of weather we'll get for this race. I'm not really sure at the moment. I can't check. Usually I can, but I don't. It's supposed to be cloudy, but I don't think there's a threat of rain. 5% chance, but you never know.
Yeah, it looks at the very end, 60 minutes into the race, that there's a 26% chance of rain. So if there are some safety cars that could prolong the race, there is a possibility for some rain that could turn up. It turns overcast from a nice sunshine after 30 minutes into the race. But at the moment we can see it's going to be dry for the whole of qualifying and the race at the moment.
Yep, and that's pretty much perfect conditions that the drivers would love to see. And as you can see, we have 16 drivers, as we've covered. Apparently Corey was able to withdraw twice, so that's pretty special. But yeah, we've got a good one nonetheless. Casper on the mediums, and J-Luke as well. That's an interesting call.
Redmat as well has selected mediums in the pit box. Quite a few drivers already out on track, getting used to the conditions. J-Luke will be the first person to start a flyer, unless he takes another lap to build the grip up in these mediums. It could take a little bit longer, but with it being such a long circuit, there's plenty of time for you to put the temperature into the mediums as he runs into the bus stop. I'll let you take us through this first flyer of this infamous Spa-Francorchamps with J-Luke.
Excellent. Nice and early with the DRS and the acceleration down into turn 1, which looks very different than it used to back in the 90s. You could go much wider through there where the wall is. That was the racing line. It was very strange when he added a curve, but no one was using it. But here we are, the most troublesome problematic area, I should say, on the track, Eau Rouge and Raidillon, but he seems to have negotiated that fairly easily at this early stage. But in the race with the heavier cars, is that other Alpine going to help? Yes, he's just about got out of the way. He looked for a moment that he wasn't going to, but here we are through the first of 2 chicanes on this track, which are pretty fast-paced despite them being chicanes, and you need to just hold off the throttle as you go around this corner, maybe a little bit of throttle, but just pretty much coast around, and then into No Name, which actually has an official name now, but I cannot pronounce it, so I will not even try right now. And you have this section here, which famously Fernando Alonso broke his car when he tried to go full throttle through it a few years back when he still drove for McLaren, so that was quite a sight. But here's the second chicane just there, and if you look to your right just as you come around this corner, you'll see somewhere my car's still up in the air, I think, from my earlier incident down in Prospect, but that's how you're supposed to do it, nice and smoothly on the power as you drive into Blanchimont, which is a very tricky, even though it's a little bit of a kink which could cause problems if you have a little bit of wing damage, but at this stage of the session, no such, and you pick your braking zone nice and clearly through the bus stop chicane, which I preferred when he went the other way, and is around the lap to set the first time of the session as a 1:43.6 on mediums is not too bad.
Yeah, great lap from J-Luke. Lukey beats that just about, but is on the soft tyres. Rich on and out lap, I believe, might have had to do an aborted lap as well. A few drivers coming through the final couple of corners. Arnaud has just decided to dive it into the pits because of his qualifying. He'll be starting from 16th, and the only way is up really for Arnaud as well.
Yeah, I took that quite literally earlier. I mean, I went up, I just didn't think I'd... Yeah, anyway, more on that down in my post-race interview thoughts, which will be up after this race. But Craig's there with the quickest time of 42.4, that's pretty decent there. Just pips Thomas by about a tenth. Just trying to find someone else who's close to finishing a lap. I think you have the Mercedes of Thomas is possibly next to do so.
Yeah, the Alpha Tower is as well, getting close. But we'll go on board with the other Mercedes then. ERT Thomas flying the flag for the Belgians and the Mercedes into the bus stop then. They're running the number 28. It comes around the final corner. Want to get a nice exit up to the line. And this puts in P5 with a 43.3. Very equal to the time of White Fountain, who set a 43. So far, there's a bit of a gap between the front 2 drivers and the rest of the field as we get these first laps underway.
Yep, it's early stages, of course, but it's always good to get a banker lap in early, which several of us struggled to do down in Prospect, and it just helps with the confidence. If you got a lap in early, you can find those missing 2-3 tenths you need to try and improve your position. But yeah, some very early running, and there's some red map there in the Haas, which is apparently play 7 on the turn, so that's an issue. But yeah.
At least you know it's player 7. At least you know it's him. It could be worse. Yeah. It could have a lot of drivers that have got player 1, player 2 all the way through. But it's easy to identify.
Quite interesting. Another 43, but this time 43.4 on the mediums is not too shabby either. He's beaten J-Luke's earlier time by 2/10, so that's not a bad effort.
Yes.
And Casper's also on the medium, so let's see how close between those two he can be. If he goes in the middle, we've got a race on between these, possibly in the race.
Yeah, he already did one lap on these mediums. Whether he took the extra time to build up the grip, the confidence of the track, or he invalidated, but I think he's going to bail out on this one because he's quite low on fuel. He doesn't. To me, on my screen, it doesn't look like he's using any ERS, so I think he's going to bail out and go straight into the pits.
Yeah, that's probably, I mean, he's low on fuel as well, so that's probably an indicator as well. But yeah, there you go, into the pits, so we won't see that just for now, but it's always a tantalising thought when you've got 2 or 3 drivers on the other compounded tyres where they're going to slot in relative to each other. But I think this is just a bit of a lull in proceedings right now, just as everyone resets and takes on fresh tyres and a little less fuel. Let me just talk about last week's race real quick, just to get everybody up to date. It was a bit of a hectic late safety car. P12 Cam ended up with a 15-second time penalty last week, which caused an incident with a white fountain, and as we know, Arnold was awarded a qualifying ban after causing a collision on the opening lap of the race, and Scorpion was the victim on that occasion. So that's how everyone ended up with the results that they did last week. And just while we have a moment, there is a new safety car procedure. You are not able to drive next to the other car under safety car conditions. You have to go behind, whether it's behind and to the side or directly astern, as you would traditionally think of, but any other lines are probably not great. But you have to be, your front wing cannot overtake the rear of the car in front. If it does, you may be subject to possible penalties from the stewards. So that is the new safety car procedure. Not much different, but I think it's clear for everybody.
Yeah, One Hub implementing the real life Formula One rules into these drivers' minds. No more overtaking or trying to get into the head of the driver ahead of you, essentially, under the restart procedures and under safety cars. It also removes any opportunity for the shocking 5-second penalties we usually see given to drivers, but I'm sure they fixed that in one of the previous patches, and I haven't seen many drivers get 5-second penalties for just a minute contact. But it's a good rule, and I hope the drivers can stick to it if we see a safety car this race. But Waitsy then, first flyer for him. First time we've seen him in the McLaren this season so far. What can he do up to the line on his first flyer? It's P4, so it's Aston Martin, McLaren at the moment. Those four drivers into the 142s, everyone else in the mid 43s and higher.
Yeah, that's not a bad opening effort from a driver that I haven't seen much of this season. But talking of Cam, which I did earlier, he's just, I think he's just starting a lap now, so I'm going to watch how he gets on. But Casper's also warming up for his next lap very shortly. Words are in there somewhere, I promise, they're just not coming out in necessarily the right order. But anyway, Cam is on the straight, where you want to try and be quick, but you can't set up for primarily straight line speed, because you do have these fast corners as we've spoken about. So it's all about trying to find the correct balance between speed and cornering grip. Not always easy to do, and some drivers struggle more than others, but let's see what kind of representative lap time Cam can do, because I think he can do quicker than a 43.6. I think he was just getting a banker in earlier on, so we'll see what he does over the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, nice and tidy. He was a 10th up on his first sector, so that would only put him in, just graze him inside the top 10. Very close, this grid, from P5 down to P13. It's separated by 3.5 tenths, which is what we love to see, and this is what One Hub tries to do. It makes grids as close as possible so that qualifying could be anyone's game. It's all down to who can get the lap right at the right time. Cam coming to the end of his lap through Blanchemont and towards the bus stop. He's looking to maybe try and beat his teammate, as well as Chris goes even quicker with a 42.3 in the Aston Martin as Cam bails out into the pits. I feel like it was his second run on this set of tyres as well. 6 minutes to go in the session. Two drivers yet to set a competitive lap time, one of them including last week's race winner. The race winners so far, should I say, of Casper and Kieran. Neither of them have set a competitive quality time, and Casper is invalid again, so he may have to go for one more run or even dive it into the pits for a fresh set, but he's going to go for one more. What would have his time been as he comes towards the line? It would have been a 1:42.1. That's quite quick. That would have been provisional pole position if he had kept it within the boundaries of the track. But he's going to go again. He's got enough EOS. I think EOS is quite easy to recover around this track and quite easy to expend, as Thomas takes provisional pole position away from the Aston Martin by 29 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, that's no margin at all, really, when you think about it. But I'm just trying to think where Casper may have gained all that time. I'm not sure what corner he missed out, but looking at his previous times, that he's yeah, he would have gone 1.5 seconds quicker using the soft tyre than did on the mediums, but that was invalidated as well. So it's interesting, really. But yeah, I'm very excited for this session. It's only getting better, and the race should be something else.
Yes, and with there being 2 DRS straights, one really crucial one down the Camel Straight towards Les Combes, where we'll probably see the most of the overtaking when DRS gets enabled. You've got to optimise your corner exits realistically if you want to be sitting near the front. Traction is very key around a lot of these corners, and there's a lot of curbs as well that could be killer, as drivers will try and avoid them as much as possible. Casper then looks like he's going to dive it straight into the pits, probably flying around to see what the tyres can still do, but he seems to be low on fuel and is harvesting his ERS, going to dive into the pits for one final run, but at the moment seems to be out of position at the moment in P15.
Yeah, he's out of position, but J-Luke's also just recovered from a spin, so I'm sure I don't know if he's got enough time to go in the pits and change tyres, but he's probably just backed off to cool the tyres down to go for one final push. But we'll see what he does, as he is coming down to Blanchemont, which is not too far away from the pit lane, and Lawrence has already broken his wing early on in the session, which we missed, and that could explain his early struggles to set a time.
Yeah, J-Lake will dive into the pits. Lawrence currently outperforming his Red Bull teammate at the moment. Cam K, the slowest driver, who set a time at the moment. Everyone seems to be in the pits except for Sam. I'm not sure why Arnold's out for another outlap, maybe just testing the tyres. But Sam is on a flyer, only one on the track who will be on one at the moment. Kieran is on mediums. He's coming through the final corner now to start a flyer, maybe his one and only flyer on those medium tyres. Probably wants to be the only one inside the top 10 to be on mediums, but I'm sure the times will improve as we come to the end of this session. Everyone will be diving out the pits last minute to get optimal track evolution and maybe snatch pole position. But it seems to be between Thomas and Chris at the moment, with Scorpion being the rear gunner ahead of Waitsy inside the top 4.
Yep, and they could still finish in pretty much any order. You know, it's very, very close today, and I'm sure as oh dear, just saw Arnold start a lap there. That's probably against the rules, so that could be another penalty going for him next time, but we'll deal with that later. But it's an exciting battle at the front between McLaren and Aston Martin, and Sam just puts his car into P4 there, which is really mixed up the order a little bit more, so that's great to see. That's
a great lap from Sam. Gets ahead of his teammate, who is yet to come out the pits. Looks like he's about to do so. It says he's on an outlap, but we'll see. Everyone will get one more flying run. White Fountain will not take part in the rest. Oh, he might just about make it as he goes towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Kieran will be the first to cross the line. He might go for a double run if he's got enough fuel. He doesn't seem to be running out just yet, so he might go for 2 push laps here and try and be the last man on track to set a time. But he's going to be the first one out of everyone in this final part of qualifying in the 25 Scuderia Ferrari up to the line. He hasn't set a time yet. What will this be? It's only a 43.8 from Kieran. No improvement in position, and will have to go again if he wants to find any more time and to try and scrape himself above that P14.
Yeah, I mean, he's either going to go again or he's not, but at the moment he is only 14th, as you say, but I'm sure he'll get a little bit of a better lap this time around. The mediums sometimes take a little while just to kick into something, and I don't think it matters if you do an extra lap on the mediums if you plan to start the race on those, but if not, he gets fresh tyres for the race. And I've just noticed I have no graphics on my screen because I pressed the wrong button. There we go, that's why I was confused, I didn't know who was where. Now I'm with you. But anyway, yes, there's cars out there very, very late trying to do some laps, and Arnold has set a very slow time. That's probably not going to go down well with the stewards.
He's come out of the pits, and I can see what he's doing. He's trying to give slipstream to his teammate on the run down the Kemmel Straight. The two Mercedes drivers are right in front of each other, coming towards the Kemmel. So that's a breach of qualifying. He's supposed to have a qualifying ban, so that's a little bit of a breach of the rules. As Kieran retires on the run towards Stavelo, I think it is, at the end of Sector 2, and he's lost it just where you did in your race, I believe. And hopefully he isn't going to cause too many issues as Lukey crosses the line set at 42.9, one of the first drivers to finish this qualifying session, and the rest of them are going to have to try and avoid that. Speed Redmat's out of the Grand Prix as well. He's done exactly the same. What has happened at that corner? Trying to ride on board with someone going through there. We're going on board with the Aston Martins. See if we can see what has happened. Redmat car is just sat in the middle of the track as it puts off Chris. He runs wide. What will Scorpion do? He holds firm through one of the penultimate corners. He could be a threat to snatch pole position, but Chris won't be. He ran wide into the gravel, and I believe he's got wing damage as well. He won't finish this qualifying session. Waitsy is P6. Tomer comes into the pits. Chris won't improve, I believe, because of that issue. Ran wide as well. Scorpion then, can he take pole position off the McLaren of Tomer up to the line? He can't. No improvement for Scorpion. What can the Mercedes of Thomas do then with the help of slipstream from his teammate? Goes P4 within an identical time as Scorpion.
Wow, there you go. I mean, people were saying that the Aston Martin was a copy of the Mercedes. Perhaps the Mercedes was a copy of the Aston Martin. But yeah, they've done exactly the same time there, but it's unfortunate for Casper, who can't quite get a time registered, which means Arnold, despite a quality ban, is not going to be starting at the back. You know, it's a strange one, but I don't want to go on about it, but it's really confused me as to why you do that. You should know better than that. But anyway, J-Luke's having a little bit of a race there with the Alfa Romeo. I think, you know, as long as they don't crash into each other, there's no harm in doing that. They're going to race into the pit lane. Well,
someone hit it. Someone hit the pit lane. I heard that. It was a massive crunch. I think it was Casper. Yeah. Poor qualifying. Yeah.
do it in qualifying, I suppose, not the race.
Yeah. Poor qualifying
for the race.
Yeah, very poor qualifying for the ART drivers. Casper and J-Luke both starting 11th and 16th. Yeah, I'm sure someone in the chat will probably have some words with Arnold about that. Even though he did do a very slow lap time, he's breached the rules of a qualifying ban and has set a lap time. It's out of the 7% rule, but should be questioned by the stewards post-race.
Yeah, management and stewards will be on the case very shortly, but while we have a quick moment, I would like to take a deep breath, because I think I'm going to need to use all of them later on. But I'll hand back to you while we do the qualifying order, and then I will run through the sponsors and partners.
Thank you, Matt. So the only Tomer takes pole position here in round 3 at Spa-Francorchamps. Beats the Aston Martins yet again. They can't catch a break. They're second and third, but will they finish second and third again this week? It's Chris ahead of Scorpion this time. ERT Thomas, with the help of his teammate, the slipstream down the Kemmel Straight, puts him on the second row in P4. Sam, with a great time at the end of quali, is P5. Lukey is P6. Waitsy, for his first race of the season, is P7. Lawrence is P8, and it's gone. It's all gone.
Oh,
it took
it
disappeared so quickly.
Well, anyway, while we have a few more moments than usual, I will like to thank our wonderful partners and sponsors here, without which none of this is possible. So, firstly, we would like to thank Next Level Racing, who sponsor the league by providing the prizes. And we also have Pure Sim Gear, sponsor the league by providing a pair of their sim racing gloves to the driver with the most combined poles and fastest laps. That's a terrific prize, so thank you to them. And our partners, Vespertine, who support our championship prizes. ERT partner the ERT Going Gets Tough Award and the league trophies. And of course, we now powered by SimGrid, we run our seasons through their community and their platform. So thank you to all of those wonderful people, and of course, I'd like to take a moment to thank our Taz guy, who, without that, we don't know who's on the wrong tyre or who should be on what, and who's struggling and who's generally off the pace and who's trying to cheat. So yeah, thank you to the Taz guy, and thank you to all our sponsors and partners, and we will get going in about 10 seconds time.
Thank you very much, Matt. Just a quick look at our rivalries for this week. I see Kieran, or Keys as his PSN name is, and Scorpion are your two rivals for this week. One starting near the front and one starting near the back. However, they were asked, Kieran was asked, will last week's closing lap success over Scorpion... Wait, that's old news. Is that old news? It looks like recent news. But because Kieran wasn't here, it says, will last week's closing lap success over Scorpion prove damaging to him? So it probably means a week before. Might do, but honestly, Scorpion is very quick. This might be a old rivalry. It's not updated on my screen, so we'll have to have a look at that. That's what the information that I've been given from Discord.
Yeah, the rivalries for this week are Sam and Cam.
Sam and Cam. Okay.
Yeah, because they're both somewhat to the stewards, and Cam wasn't happy with the steward's decision, but he was asked how he will use this to gain better results in the future, and is he going to remind Sam to set up his task correctly. And Sam was asked, he may have done a minor infraction, but will you be reminding Cam of his responsibility to race cleanly? I saw Cam's response earlier. He said, I won't be reminding Sam to set his task. Fair enough.
Yeah, literally a one-liner. I must have scrolled a little bit too far, because literally above where it says Cam, it says Scorpion. So I was like, I just didn't look at the date. So that's my apologies, getting the information incorrect. But thank you, Matt, for correcting me. And yeah, so Cam and Sam, two rivalries. Sam doing it in qualifying at the moment with Cam K down in 13th. Only driver outside the top 10 choosing to start on the soft compound tyre. Red Matt managed to scrape through inside the top 10 on those medium tyres with that mistake at the end of qualifying. So he's the highest runner on the mediums, but expect to see those tyres start to come in to the soft tyre runners around lap 5, lap 6. But there is a 2-stop, so you might see some soft runners come in early for the undercut.
Yep, it's certainly a definite possibility. In fact, it's something I was wanting to utilise down in Prospect, but things happened and that didn't really happen. But yeah, I guess I was going to say the other rivalry, Sam just prefers to do his talking on the track, I suppose. He didn't really have anything to say to the media, but I think in that situation I probably would have had a laugh or joke and said, yeah, at least I don't take other drivers out or something like that. But anyway, that is how I would have dealt with it. But we are going to go racing very shortly, as we are seeing the leaders in their grid slots, and Casper's not too far behind at the back. So this is going to be a thrilling race, and hand over to you for the start.
Yeah, and Chris as well in the Aston Martin has not got much high hopes. He's just waiting for the race to unfold in his pre-race interview. So waiting for the 5 red lights to come on our screens, and it's lights out and away we go here in ERT Spa. Great start from the Aston Martins. They look like they're going to swamp that McLaren into turn 1, inside and outside for each of them. Scorpion will take the lead though as they run down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. It's going to be nearly 2 abreast into Eau Rouge, but at the top of the hill through Radion there could be a 3-wide moment down the camera straight. It doesn't look like there's been any carnage behind, but the slipstream's extremely powerful. Will Tomo regain the lead that he got in qualifying? Then to Les Combes chicane is going to have the outside into the first half. It will turn to the inside, but it's a great defence from Scorpion, who takes the lead from 3rd place on the grid, and Red Matt already up to 7th on those mediums as well.
Yeah, that is a great start for Red Matt on the mediums, and that, if he can keep that up, he's going to have a huge advantage in 5 or 6 laps time. But of course, anything can usually happen in the world of Formula 1, so we're just waiting for that anything to happen. But Casper also on the mediums hanging in there on P11. Thomas in the lead, Mercedes in P10. He's just been passed, actually, as I say that, and he's gone a little bit wide, and that you should see White Fountain squeeze through as well, and his Mercedes teammate Arnold is now past Thomas, so he must have an issue. He must have damage or something. I've not seen it on my screens, but now it's updated. Sam has a broken wing, and Thomas has a left damage as well, so that would explain why he's lost about 7 positions in about 3 seconds there.
Yeah, he already had a poor start. It dropped from P4 down to P10 in the first couple of corners. Picked up a little bit of damage and is now all the way at the back of the grid. J-Luke makes a move on Lawrence into the bus stop chicane. Lawrence does a great defense and holds onto that position with the soft compound tyres. But as we end lap 1, it's Scorpion from Toma, Chris, Lukey, Sam, who you mentioned who's got a little bit of wing damage as well. Doesn't seem to be affecting his pace too much as Casper gets through on... There's a lot of battling on. Cam K up to 11th. Casper side by side with him. Tried to, but Casper had a great start on those mediums. White Fountain in 12th. Arnold up to 13th as he gets through Kieran as they go side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. Great overtake there, but could be susceptible to an overtake with no slipstream ahead being out of that 1 second window as well. The slipstream is going to be very powerful for Kieran into Lecom, but no position gained for him. Rich down to 15th. So a couple of drivers losing out at the start of this race as Thomas has made his first pit stop.
Yep, he's replaced that broken front wing, and that's one stop out of the way. He's now on medium, so he can go pretty much as long as he wants to, and strategy is his oyster, I suppose. He could go long and then pit some soft, so he could go double medium. I don't know. It's really how I guess that he feels the car speaks to him while he's on this compound. He might not like it, he might really enjoy it, but only he can answer that question. He can tell I've had a week off. I'm not used to talking. Anyhow, the McLaren of Toma is still in P2, sandwiched between the two Aston Martins, which is something we're getting quite used to here.
Yeah, they're putting up a great fight, but I wouldn't discount anyone further behind us. J-Luke tries to replicate the move he did last lap into the bus stop chicane, gets it done this time, commands the final corner and takes P8 away from Lawrence as Arno sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, down in P13 as Cam K now gets through on his teammate up to 9th, both on soft tyres. But a great start from Cam K and Red Matt as well.
Yeah, you can't underestimate this start from Red Matt. He's absolutely flying right now on the medium tyres, and I hope we haven't done what we usually do when we praise a driver. Let's hope the...
Excuse me, I'm on board with Scorpion, and he had a massive moment through Lecom, must have touched the curb. He was battling for the lead with Toma, who had a great run with the help of DRS, and tried to defend it, lost the back end, and he's lost not only one position to Toma, but 2 more to his teammate and Lukey, who's now up into 3rd place, who's used to getting podiums around this track here in One Hub. He finished 3rd last time Precision Tier was here, as well as Scorpion as well. He finished 2nd last time Precision here was here at Spa as well. So both experienced drivers when it comes to securing valuable points for their teams at this track.
Yep, it's something I need to start paying attention to bring points to the team, because I'm letting the team down in prospect. I'm having a horrible season on track, but I'm loving it in the box. I'm definitely learning what not to do. It's a shame I'm not commentating before I race, so I can pick up some tips. But anyhow, this is a great battle. The P3 Luke is into the pits quite... As we said, we could see some soft runners pit early, but this might even be a little bit too early unless he's got some unknown damage or issue, or maybe he's just feeling brave. Anyhow, no damage reported. Cam is flying now, fastest lap of the race, and Lukey will be switching to hopefully the medium tyres. No, it looks like he's gone hard. That's a brave call. Lawrence has done the same thing, so okay, let's see if they can have some grip with the hards. I did enjoy them in practice, but there is a reason why I'm not in anything other than the bottom tier for racing. But this could be a fantastic battle for the lead all race long, and I'm very much looking forward to it. At the moment, Chris, whatever, I don't know. I keep changing pronunciation every week, but
go Chris. We'll finalise Chris.
Okay, cool. Let's go. Chris is in the lead of this race so far. Thomas is about half a second behind, give or take, and then he's dropped a little bit off the front of Scorpion in the other Aston Martin. There's a yellow flag in sectors 1 and 2. I think that's probably Lawrence struggling on the hards, is it? Or is it Lukey?
Lukey.
Might have been Lukey. Yeah. One of them struggling on the hards, you could see that. I just wasn't sure. Both are blue, so that's quite annoying.
Yeah, I just hopped on board with Lukey when the yellow flag came out, because I believe there wouldn't be a change of position through the middle sector. Not really overtaking points through the middle sector. You get a nice slipstream as you run through Stavelot, through Branchemont toward the bus stop. But then where all the overtaking gets done is with the benefit of DRS down towards turn 1 and down towards Les Combes. Any more pit stoppers? I think Thomas is going to go for the undercut as Chris sets fastest lap, showing he's got some nice pace in that Aston Martin, dropping his teammate after his teammate made that mistake. He's not going to get DRS and may even get swamped from the drivers behind of Sam and Waitsy. Red Matt's up there as well, Cam K, J-Lu, all these drivers staying within DRS down towards P11. It's an almighty train that Scorpion has created after that mistake and could lose out to maybe only one position, but the speed Red Matt is looking very racy behind on Waitsy as well. May not be a change for the P2, but there could be a change further behind for P4 and Red Matt. Those medium tyres coming into a nice feel for him up to P4. Waitsy, I think, has got caught on the inside curb of the first part of Les Combes and has had an incident.
Yeah, there was a tiny bit of contact. I was on board with Red Matt looking sideways to see if there was enough room for both of them, and I don't think there was anything malicious in it. It's just sometimes you have the merest tap if both trying to make the corner. There was nothing more to it than that, but unfortunately Waitsy's paid the price on this occasion and he's tumbled all the way down to B12, and I'm pretty sure he may well decide to pit at the end of this lap.
It could do as well, because those soft tyres with a little bit of a spin aren't going to feel too great, and with the damage already done, with the positions he's lost, it might be more beneficial to go for an undercut now, especially on Red Matt, who's on those medium tyres. He'll be on fresh mediums and you'll be able to go faster with the clear air while he's battling the other drivers on soft tyres. Chris into the pits. Scorpion can't follow suit, being teammates. Red Matt stays out, and Sam and Arnold all follow suit. Arnold, interestingly, into the pits at the end of lap 4 on mediums as well, so might be able to stretch a double set of softs, but he's going to go for another set of mediums and then sprint to the end on a set of softs for Arnold. But it's soft tyres again for Sam, mediums for Waitsy, and mediums for Chris. Where does he come out in respect to Thomas, who went in a pit earlier? They're going to be side by side as they run up the hill towards the Kemmel Straight, but Chris has made the overcut work and has got ahead and stayed ahead of Thomas just about, but they're going to swap positions as they run down the Kemmel Straight. With the benefit of DRS, Thomas retakes the net race lead on lap 6.
He does, but in the actual lead of the race right now is Speed Red Matt with a wonderful move down the Kemmel Straight past Scorpion Hun on different tyres. But yeah, great move for Red Matt, who's had an absolute sensational start to this race here in the Precision tier.
Yeah, started P10, now P1. Is he doing a Hamilton? But he hasn't made a pit stop yet. Anything can happen. There's 16 laps left, give or take, any safety cars. And if a safety car comes out now, that could really help the drivers who are yet to pit. It's one of the shorter pit stops around here on the calendar. It's about 18 seconds or maybe even less through the pit lane. Such a short pit straight that you don't lose too much time in the pit lane, and that's where the undercut can be overthrown with how short the pit stop lane is, as Red Matt almost drifts it out of the final corner as we get a yellow flag in the final sector. Seems to be Lawrence on those hard tyres, struggling to get temperature and grip into them, as we get a virtual safety car and Scorpion and White Fountain are in the pits.
Yeah, it's an unusual thing to see a virtual safety car. Although Lawrence just almost overshot. Okay, he's got issues. He's almost crashed into the pit entry. I think he's really struggling on those hard tyres. I think he's possibly going to put the mediums on. Oh, he's got no front wing. That's why he was struggling so much. He's had a massive incident there. Didn't see that. Apologies. But yeah, it's definitely.
Sorry for the interruption. The virtual safety car was just about to end, and there was almost a pile-up on the start of the Camel Straight as drivers tried to slot themselves in and not get a drive-through penalty. Scorpion, with the benefit of pitting under the virtual safety car, has regained the lead, done a massive overcut, but with drivers having to drive under a delta has really helped him, and he's going to have fresher tyres than the drivers around him. White Fountain has got the jump on Chris, and Sam is up there as well on fresh softs. So this is going to be a tantalising battle for not only the race win, but for the podium spots as well.
Yes, they're very, very tantalising, and not only that, it could well shape up the championship order as well for the race for the title, so that is something to keep an eye on. Later on in the race, of course, it's a little bit early to start thinking of that, but that is definitely going to be affected somehow or another today, as Cam is probably the last to pit from the softs. I think he is. Yeah, Sam's on fresh softs, so yeah, everyone else is off the softs now, so that's one stop to him, and you have Red Matt, Casper, J. Luke, Kieran, Rich, all to yet make a stop, but everyone else Cam downwards have made one stop already, apart from Lawrence and Thomas, who have stopped twice, so they technically don't have to stop again and are effectively in the net race lead, but it probably won't last too long.
I think they're going to need a safety car or two, or at least one, to bring them back into the fight. Yes, they've made their final stop, but those tyres I'm not sure will make it to the end, as Red Matt seems to be having a little bit of trouble with the fronts, as we've got a spinner. J-Luke is round in the gravel through Lacon, must have touched the curb and got it wrong. Is going to get involved in this little battle as Scorpion now goes up the inside of J-Luke into Brussels. Will Tom follow suit? He won't. And now into No Name. I think it's pronounced Eeks, like I think it's Jack Eeks.
Oh, Jackie Eeks.
Yeah. Jackie Eeks.
I heard something else as well, but
yeah. So we'll keep it with No Name. Everyone knows it is No Name. But yeah, J-Luke losing position to Scorpion is not looking pretty at the moment. He's a pit stop behind the drivers that are battling him at the moment, but he's in for a long one, as another virtual safety car has come out. That is for the Red Bull of Lawrence at Lacombe as well. A lot of drivers struggling with those Lacombe curbs.
Yeah, and Lawrence has broken another wing, so he'll be in for another stop, and he's having a miserable time out there, but he's still going for now. But well, I say that, and that looked very much like it wasn't an accident.
Maybe so, but it has. Sorry, maybe it hasn't brought out a full course caution. As Red Matt, I'm surprised Rich didn't box. Casper, Kieran, and J-Luke all making the most of this virtual safety car, coming in for fresh sets of soft tyres. And Red Matt is going to come out, and Casper are going to come out in this battle for the lead. They're behind Scorpion, but they're ahead of Toma. There wasn't much of a gap to fit in there for two, not only for one driver, but for two of them. It's going to be a massive battle to the end. I think Red Matt and Casper are ones to watch for this race win, with them going on soft tyres to the end.
Yeah, definitely something to watch out for later on in the race, as the virtual safety car is now over. Of course, drivers would usually be trying to attack out of the pits, but they couldn't. So it was a good thing to see both of them slot into that gap there. I thought we might see something like that in the race if we had a virtual safety car, especially the gaps between some of these drivers were pretty much nothing in the case of two drivers who had exactly the same time. So yeah, it's always good to see, and there's a 3-second penalty for Sam, the first of the event after lap 9, so that's pretty good going. for these drivers, but Scorpion, Red Matt and Casper all pretty much nose to tail there, and Tom is a little bit further back of that, but he can easily gain if these three continue to hold each other up. Let's see what happens in the next 12 or so laps here in One Hub Racing. This is fantastic so far.
Yeah, Redmat's going to have to try and go around the outside. He's done it before, Blanchimont, and this could be not the best idea for Redmat because he's given up track position for the DRS, but Casper's going to go to the inside and left to the outside through the bus stop, and that's 2 positions lost in the space of a couple of corners for Scorpion, but he's going to get the benefit of DRS to try and attack back. He doesn't want to be losing another position to Kieran behind, who managed to get through on Sam, who makes his pit stop after picking up a little bit more wing damage, was struggling a little bit, ran wide out of Stavelo and picked up a little bit more damage. But here we go then, down towards Com then. Will Redmat hold on to the net race lead, or will Casper take it away from him after starting from the back of the grid? Redmat defends beautifully, puts his car in the middle of the track, gives Casper no option but to hold back and maybe wait his turn.
Yeah, it's always better to someone who's wait if you've got to either 100% go for it. If you do a half-hearted move, that's where 99% of incidents happen. So to wait for another chance is probably the right move of this effect. There's only 10 laps into then. Of course, Rich out in front apparently hasn't made a stop yet, although I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm having issues with my telemetry, but it says he's no stop yet, but
yeah,
it is. Yeah, well, okay, it's just sometimes the tyres don't match up quite right, so there's a bit of a glitch on my end. Apologies for that, but yeah, he's in the lead right now, but he hasn't stopped, so he will be stopping in the next couple of laps, I imagine. He might do 2 stop stints, I don't know, that might be a bit too aggressive, but we're having a fantastic battle for the lead here between Speed Red Matt and Casper, and maybe Scorpion in a few laps if these two keep holding each other up. This is amazing stuff, and I hope we've got another 12 laps like it, because I am thoroughly enjoying this.
Yeah, this is what we want to see in real life as well. As they get fastest laps between them, Casper takes it back off Redmat as they cross the line. They've managed to pull out over a second on Scorpion, so he's not going to get DRS on the run down towards Lecom, and Redmat has tactically given Casper the lead so that he can get DRS down the Camel Straight. But will it work out for Redmat? It will, and he's got plenty of ERS as well to attack. Casper was using ERS as well. Will Redmat go for the inside into Lecom? He holds fort, holds it back, played the tactic card of getting DRS, but holds on to the position as there's been an incident further behind. White Fountain has spun, whether there was contact. I saw Chris took a 3-second time penalty through that section of corner as well, whether there was contact between those. Kieran's gotten through up to P5, and he's now got to overtake Toma and Scorpion, who were going side by side down towards Lecom. And what will Chris do? I don't know whether he's got any damage. He runs extremely wide through Puan, and he does have some front right end plate damage, 18%, as he runs, as Arnaud runs extremely wide. I thought that was Chris then. Arnaud doesn't seem to have the damage, but Chris does. Arnaud running wide and now under threat from Camke behind. I'm sure Chris will box at the end of this for his final stop. Probably a set of mediums to run to the end. We saw Rich stretch them 9 laps, and hopefully Chris can do the same as Toma gets through on Scorpion, but Scorpion might lose 2 positions in one corner into the braking zone of the bus stop. Action left, right and centre as Casper now sets the fastest lap yet again. Scorpion holds on to Kieran, who wants to make the most of these soft tyres while he can.
Yep, you always need to try and utilise the soft tyres while you can, because they do fall off a cliff, especially with a track that has different sort of levels to it, like up and down and very much torquey rear end grip, which definitely destroys your soft tyres as well. So definitely make use of them while you have them, and that's why I think it's probably better to go for mediums rather than 2 sets of soft. But hey, you never know what could work out on the day. Is depends on what happens around you, as Scorpion is now back up into P3 having just lost it, and this is a titanic battle between 3 drivers, and we're given no inch other than what they absolutely have to. And this is fantastic. They are racing side by side, corner by corner, lifting when they know that they can and attacking when they have the opportunity. And this is a fantastic three-car battle, which, having said that, Scorpion just gained a little bit and pulled away as Thomas was battling Kieran there. So that's good, and Cam finally gets past Arnold. He was struggling to do that for a moment, so I looked away and he's done it now. So there you go. You're welcome. J-Luke is in a bit of bother on his own. He's just not near anybody, but he's got fountain for company if he makes any sort of slight errors. And Thomas is through on Kieran again. Can he keep it this time? Yes, he can, through past the house. And this is taking my voice earlier than usual. This is amazing stuff, and Casper is just controlling this race now a little bit. I think Renmat has decided that he's gonna wait for discretion to be the better part of that, and we'll try again in a few laps when he has a little bit more ERS to play with.
Yeah, could even go for the undercut. Being the driver behind, it gives you more options on strategy. If the driver ahead doesn't box, you can box. If the driver boxes, you can stay out and keep the clear air and hope that the driver that boxes gets put in a little bit of traffic. So here we go then, round 2 for Thomas versus Kieran. No Scorpion to get in the mix this time. They nearly went 3 wide into Lecom. Kieran trying to hold it around the outside. But with the benefit of DRS, Kieran sails through on those soft tyres. Did pick up a 3-second time penalty on the exit of this Lecom chicane. But he's got a little bit of work to do, as the gap between Scorpion and the leaders is nearly 4 seconds. And Kieran has got to try and catch back up to that battle, because that's where he'll want to be if he wants to stand a chance to regaining any ground in the championship fight after missing last week but securing the victory in Japan.
Yeah, it's absolutely key to do that, and especially if you miss a week, you always want to, when you opt back, you always want to try and get as many points as possible. And you just saw in the background B11 and 12 switching in exactly the same manner as you just saw between Ease and Thomas. So that's pretty good that the DRS is doing its job for some of these drivers. Sam and Chris there in P11 and P12 fighting for the final point, which is important to remember here in one-up racing. Points for the top 12 and of course fastest lap points inside and outside the top 10, so it's never over until everyone has crossed the line.
Exactly that. But Chris, interestingly, put on a set of soft tyres. This is his 3rd stop, I believe. And no, his 2nd stop, going for soft tyres to the end as Arnold now makes his final stop, but he speeds into the pit lane and has picked up a 5-second penalty. That's a little bit of a driver error from him. Onto a fresh set of softs to go to the end. 8 laps should be fairly easy for him, someone who's very experienced at this track as well, ERT Arnold. But here comes Kieran then to take the podium away from Scorpion with the benefit of DRS down towards Lecom again. 2 laps, 2 overtakes, 2 positions for Kieran. He's up onto the podium. Now has got a chance to hunt down Redmat, who is now falling away a little bit more from Casper. It's almost breaking that 2-second window between Redmat and Casper. I'm not sure what the delta's like between tyres, especially soft, old and new softs, but I think the undercut is something that Redmat's going to have to look out for, as there's been a retirement for Chris down. Well, not a retirement, but there's been an incident for Chris. The middle of the Kemmel Straight there, whether there was contact between him and Sam, who were battling, I'm not too sure, but he's going to be an angry person, is Chris, as he cuts all of the Lecom with that wing damage, and we may see our 2nd retirement of the Grand Prix, because Chris is not going to be happy with that.
No, he's not happy, but he's struggling to... I mean, there's not that much damage, so he shouldn't be struggling all that much to get the car around and serviced. But I don't know, maybe he's just driving angry now because of the incident. I didn't see it. I was watching, I was checking through the telemetry and things like that, checking the tyre damage. Looked away from the screen for just a moment, so I didn't see if there were any damage or not. There must be, he's got damage, but I for one didn't see it. But yeah, there's definitely some sort of thing to be had for the undercut with the older soft tyres, and the fresher tyres regardless are going to be better, whether it's pressure mediums. In fact, pressure hards are probably better than old worn softs at some points, but they just wouldn't be feasible to go on the hard. As we saw earlier with Lawrence, he's now out of the race, unfortunately for him. He just had too many issues and found too many barriers. But it's definitely important to think who's going to blink first between Casper and Redmap. This is potentially and more likely for the race win. So whoever blinks first may well have the advantage here, and I cannot wait to find out who it is.
Yeah, and it's all about when you pick that moment to make the undercut, because if Casper's done well and saved his tyres, he will not be under that much of a threat from Redmap behind. The gap's 2.3 seconds, so Redmap's going to have to maybe try and close that gap down a little bit before boxing for a fresh set of softs. Just to confirm, there was contact between Sam and Chris. Both of them picked up damage. There was 25-ish% on Sam's end plate, and there was 40% damage on Chris's end plate as well. So both of them having to make an extra stop. Medium tyres for Sam, more softs for Chris. He is choosing to stay out, maybe snatch a fastest lap, but he won't be inside the top 12 to secure that point, I believe, unless it's everyone outside the top 10 that gets that point. But Scorpion comes into the pits. Redmat's now making the jump for the undercut. Casper stayed out. Kieran stayed out. Thinks he's still got a little bit more pace. Thomas, who's been on those mediums 10 laps, will go into a fresh set of softs as well. Anyone else thinking of making another pit stop? I think everyone else further behind has made all their mandatories. Arnow sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, proving that undercut has worked superbly for him as he comes out ahead of Scorpion, Thomas and J-Luke.
Yep, the undercut certainly worked out for him, and Red Matt, he did have about 10% more wear on his soft tyres than Casper did, so that could explain why he's decided to pit earlier and hope the undercut works as Casper just continues to toil out there in fresh air. So it might not be as clear cut as that. Casper does have quite an advantage as it is. He's got 4 seconds back to Kieran, who has a penalty, as you know. Cam is in P3, very, very quietly he's in P3 on the medium tyres. So this race has just really heated up a notch or two in the last couple of moments, and there's still a lot more to come in the final few laps, and this is just what we come to see each and every week in Roundup Racing. It's fantastic, and I don't know who's going to win, but whoever it is will thoroughly deserve the win today.
Yeah, and it's not going to help Redbat here, being stuck behind White Fountain, who's on 8-lap old mediums. Does Casper peel into the pit lane? He should do, to cover off the undercut, and he does. Will Kieran do the same? He will nope, Kieran stays out. Casper goes in. Redmat taking a wonderful line through Blanchimont, picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that could be costly for him taking the win here today as Fountain now goes into the pits. Redmat is going to be absolutely fuming with him, trying to perform the undercut. Casper's coming up the pit exit now. Redmat gets the speed through. Will he take the lead? No, he won't. Casper will hang on, and White Fountain has really done a good job there for Casper. Even though they're not Alfa Romeo teammates, they're still Alphas. But Redmat is going to try and get the lead with the benefit of DRS, and hopefully can pull away, because he does have a 3-second time penalty. Casper does not, and that's what Redmat is going to be maybe forcing Casper into an error, as Thomas has lost position to Scorpion into turn 1, into Lecom, sorry, and Scorpion up to P5.
Yep, and that could well become P4, because Arnold, don't forget, did speed in the pit lane, so he will certainly drop at the end. He's got 5 seconds to add on, and Scorpion, just as we say, that has tacked on 3 seconds of his own. So this is definitely not over yet, and Thomas, Cam, in fact everyone underneath Scorpion are clean up down to P14, and Casper is clean in the top 5. So this is definitely swings and roundabouts, and definitely 2 different races we've got going on here. But which one will suffice at the end? Only one way to find out, right here, and find out with us here at One Hub Racing.
We will indeed. Just trying to find out how many warnings. Well, actually, we'll find. Can Tass tell us how many warnings
Yes.
It should do, yeah. I didn't want to pause the game and get away from the battle for the lead. Kieran now makes his final pit stop. I'm going to try and have a look to see if I can find how many warnings away Casper is from a penalty. That's what Red Matt is going to have to think about. He's going to maybe have to try and force Casper into an error if he wants to take this win today. As J-Luke snatches the fastest lap inside the top 10, just confirming that anyone outside the top 10 who does get a fastest lap will get that point, as Red Matt goes incredibly defensive to try and break the slipstream from Casper as they run down the camera straight for the 18th time this race. Will Casper take an opportunity to overtake? He will not. I believe Casper is low on fuel as well. He underfueled the car, so Casper is doing his tactics again, where he was very low on fuel in Japan, I think it might have been, or it might have been Mexico, where he was lifting and coasting a lot to try and harvest that fuel. He's going to have to do it again, but this is a great opportunity for him because he doesn't need to push. The drivers behind him have penalties, the driver ahead of him has a penalty, and he's also getting the benefit of slipstream and DRS through the entirety of the lap.
Yes, of course you say that, but he has got to be careful that he doesn't do anything stupid because he is on 2 warnings himself, so he needs to be pretty careful and pretty consistent now, otherwise he will be in a penalty of his own, and then it will just be basically whoever finishes out in front can win the race. But at the moment, advantage is just about with Casper, but if he gets that one more warning, then that could all change around here in the closing laps. But Red Matt controls the race here at the moment in the lead.
He does, and if anyone's engineering Red Matt at the moment, they're probably a nice bit of information to give him, because Casper needs to just sit pretty. But with it being only 1 warning away from picking up a penalty, Red Matt could maybe invite Casper to make a mistake by giving him the lead, putting him under pressure. So I don't think Red Matt's going to be able to pull away and pull out 3 seconds, because the DRS is just so powerful that it's very hard to break away. And Casper's got that 1 lap fresher tyres as well, and it shows between the 2 drivers in the telemetry that Red Matt's tyres are significantly more worn than Casper's. 27 on the front, 27 and 24 on the front for Red Matt, 19 and 16 for Casper. He's not pushing either through the corners as he's trying to harvest, trying to save fuel and get to the end of this Grand Prix. Thomas now gets back past Kieran, who's trying to overtake him on fresh soft tyres. Kieran one to watch, but does have a 3-second time penalty as well. We're looking to try and get inside the top 4, but Thomas is not making his life that easy, and Kieran's just going to have to maybe hold back for an opportunity down towards the bus stop, or even wait for DRS.
Yeah, of course it's possible to wait, but I'm just really concerned with Casper's fuel. He's minus 0.6 on, so he's going to run out of fuel at some point if the current usage continues. It's not ideal. I know when he was gambling on the safety car, wasn't he? But I don't think it's going to work out for him on this occasion. But you never know. Things can happen very quickly around here, although I don't think there's going to be a safety car now. We are on to lap 20, just 3 laps to go of this race, so I don't think any safety car will do anything for anyone, even if it was possible to trigger one, but I don't believe it is in the last 3 laps, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Arnold in P3, but will drop with that 5-second penalty as well, and to add to his post-race time, so he will certainly drop off the podium at this point. But if he can find a little bit more pace, he still might keep it. But of course, he's got that earlier qualifying misdemeanor, which the stewards are probably hard at work at already, given the reports that have gone in already, I imagine. But Scorpion has just overtaken Thomas on the Gemmell Straight going into the chicane. That was a good move there, as I'm tumbling through the order to try and find out who's got penalties, who's clean. You have overtakes going, and so every point matters here, and that is what we love to see.
Yeah, Arnold with that spinning in the pit lane adds up with his 3-second time penalty that he got for track limits, so he will drop down the field quite a bit. But luckily Kieran's got 3 seconds, so that cancels out. Scorpion's got a 3 seconds, so that will cancel out. What Kieran has to do now is try and stay within that 5-second window, and Scorpion as well, and they will get a free position. Kieran will be happy that he got by Thomas on that camel straight. Thomas got swamped, essentially, having no slipstream or DRS from a car ahead of him. Got overtaken by not only one but two cars. And Kieran now wants to push for the rest of this Grand Prix. Maybe even try and take that podium on track if it's possible for Kieran. And with this, it really throws a spanner in the works for the constructors as well. P5 and P15 at the moment as Kieran sets fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Bonus points coming your way, Sunshine, if you can hold on to it inside the top 10. Should do. He's got the freshest tyres of anyone inside the top 10 at the moment. He's got a nice bit of clear air ahead of him and could be taking him a little bit more points for him. Ferrari only one driver here this week, so it's not going to have that much of an impact on the constructors standings too much. The gap was so large, 30 points, 32 points, but every point counts with it being so early in the season.
It certainly does, but Arnold's very minimal on fuel as well. He might finish, but he's going to struggle. He's very much on the limit there. When he puts the throttle down, he dips into the negative, but then he gets it back again in the braking zone when he's lifted and coasting a little bit. So he might be okay, but he's definitely worrying times for him. And of course, Casper's still very much in the negative, so I'm not even sure he's going to be able to finish the final lap. I think he's going to run out as he approaches possibly Blanchimont. That could be a very strange end to the race, so keep an eye on that situation. But Red Matt looks as though he's possibly just about a lap and a half away from having some of the glory for himself today, but that's going to happen in about 2 minutes time, so let's keep an eye on that and let's see if there's anything happening further back with the times. I don't think there is. I think there's just going to be, is he going to win this race today, Speed Red Matt, or is it going to be something else entirely? Is Kieran going to, I think Thomas on for a podium here as well. If he can stay where he is, he's going to jump Arnold and Kieran with the fact that he's got no penalties. And is that Casper out of fuel already, or is he just playing tactically? I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely not good signs for him at the moment. But he's got DRS. I think he's just done what we saw earlier, tactical.
Yeah, but Kieran's going to try and make it 3 wide down towards the Lacombe. He's in the middle of all of them. Because both of them had to lift, because both of them are very low on fuel, as you mentioned. Arnold and Casper both are low on fuel. As Arnold has a massive moment, is into the barrier, he's out of the Grand Prix. There won't be a safety car because it is the final lap. No points for Arnold then, yet again here in One Hub. Absolute disastrous start to the season for last season's pinnacle driver. Is now in Precision, having a little bit of a few issues. Arnold out of the Grand Prix. Kieran now up into second, but he does still have a 3-second time penalty that Thomas is very tantalisingly trying to stay in with. But Casper, with his fuel dilemmas, is really helping not only Redman and Kieran, but Thomas has to lunge it up the inside. Casper will want to try and hang on to this. I'm not sure how much fuel Casper's got. We've got to stay on board with this little battle to the end. Redman is coming towards Blanchimont and the bus stop. Scorpion has now overtaken Casper as well. So Casper's attempt to underfuel the car, expecting for a safety car, has not paid off for him. He had an opportunity to take the win and may even just get top 5. Redback crosses the line to a win here in One Hub. Kieran will get P2. The Tomo will hang on for the final spot on the podium. It's nice to see something different other than a lot of British Racing Green on the podium this week. We've got a Haas, a Ferrari and a McLaren sharing the podium. Casper will hang on for P4, just about surviving to the end of the Grand Prix with such little fuel he had left in the closing laps. Scorpion will be P5, his worst result of the season. But say P5 is your worst result of the season is not too bad. Cam K recovers to 6th after starting near the back. J. Luke is 7th, White Fountain 8th, Rich 500 is 9th. Lukey rounds out your top 10. ERT Thomas, after a disastrous start to the Grand Prix, getting his 2 pit stops out of the way early, comes home in 11th, will score 2 points. Sam in 12th will score a point. Unfortunate for Waitsy, who I see has no front wing, will cross the line in 13th. Chris will cross the line in 14th. as well. But Chris is a long way back and may try and take the fastest lap of the Grand Prix for the drivers outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's always worth a go, but he's out of deployment, so it's not going to be easy for him, but he might have the tyre advantage to do so, but it's been a terrific battle from lap 1 to lap 22, and yeah, I was on board with Waity as he spun it in the background. I was watching the low road to see if anything was going to happen, but yeah, he was just round and then lost his front ring, so that was unfortunate, but he still finished, so that's good for him. But some struggling performances and some really good performances. Driver of the day we'll speak about very shortly, but first I'll leave it to, as always, you to run down the provisional race results.
Thank you, Matt. So yeah, Red Matt showed up last week, put in a nice performance. Some question whether he should have got driver of the day last week. He gets the win here in Spa. Kieran, after starting near the back, very poor qualifying for Kieran, gets second place, and Thomas was battling the Aston Martins throughout that Grand Prix, survives and hangs on to the final spot on the podium. Casper, unfortunate with his fuel dilemma, he will round out the top 4, missing out on a podium by 1.7 seconds. Scorpion, the leading Aston Martin in P5, Camco P6, J-Luke 7th, White Fountain is 8th, Rich 500 in 9th, Lukey comes home in 10th, point scoring position for Williams, ERT Thomas in 11th, Sam in 12th, there's your top 12 of point scoring positions. Waitsy will get the fastest lap for outside the top 10, Chris P14, and our 2 DNFs, ERT Arnaud, who had that little mistake on the final lap, and Lawrence, who was struggling all Grand Prix, picked up some damage at the start, had a little spin, then put on the hard tyres and spun again, and not the greatest result for him in the Red Bull. So then, driver of the day, I'll let you go first. Matt, who is your nomination for driver of the day?
Well, I think you briefly mentioned it when you're doing the results rundown, but I'm going to have to go with Speed Red Matt. I was very impressed with his drive today, and I know we got the call pretty much last minute last week, but the question I'm going to ask him is, did having a little bit more notice really pay off for you this week? Congrats on the win, and will you be looking to repeat again next week?
Great question. You stole it from me again, but this is why I let you choose, because then I can choose someone else. And I have another driver lined up. It's going to be the person who finished P2. It is going to be Kieran for my nomination. He started towards the back, had a really poor qualifying session, tried to qualify inside the top 10 on the mediums, failed to do that at the end of the session, but survived the carnage, fought his way through to P2. My question for you is this a resurgence of Ferrari for the Drivers' Championship? Is there a possibility for a constructors' fight as well for the rest of the season? And is this result, I don't know, it's one question, but is this result stamping your threat to the Aston Martins in the standings? Trying to think and speak at the same time is really difficult, especially when you've been doing it for over an hour. But it's been a pleasure, as always, commentating with you. Indecisive. Fantastic Grand Prix we've seen this week. Where are we next week?
We are heading to Abu Dhabi next week, so I don't think there's any chance of rain there. If it rains, something's gone very, very wrong. But yeah, we are there next week, and I can't wait to bring the action with you next week. And it's always a pleasure, never a chore. Yes, exactly that. Who thinks commentating is a chore? I'd hope not. But yeah, next week will be Abu Dhabi. Be sure to tune in to Pinnacle Tier, who's live right now on Twitch, for the fastest drivers in one hub, taking their attempts around this wonderful Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Be sure to vote for your driver of the day between Red Matt and Kieran. There'll be a poll on Twitter for you to vote, and be sure to watch back all the races that have happened so far this week in Podium and Prospect. Next week is Abu Dhabi. It shouldn't rain, but you never know in Formula One. Anything is possible. I didn't think I would have probably seen Red Matt on top step, and we saw it. Aston Martins have started their downfall already, but hopefully they can have a resurgence next week in Abu Dhabi. Any more final words? I'm just glad to be back.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Take care, stay safe, and be sure to keep an eye on OneHub on Twitter and all social medias. Thank you, and goodbye.